Today, I'm going to totally rebuild my pedal board. I'm going to do it around this, and this, and this, and I might even throw in a little bit of this, and this, and something else as well. Let's see what happens. By the way, this video was meant to be like quite a concise thing, but it's turned into a real sort of vlog kind of journey. So buckle up, come on a little pedalboard journey with me. I'd love you to join me. So the heart of it all is going to be the TONEX, and this is going to do all the real heavy lifting. I'm going to use this for amps. I'm going to use the effects on it as well, and I'm going to control the effects externally with the chocolate. Okay. Now there is a video on using the chocolate and setting it up with this. I'm going to do something along those lines, but I will show you my setup on the chocolate as well as what I'm doing here. But essentially what I'm going to have is 3 sounds on the TONEX: a clean sound, a crunch, and a lead. Now, I'm torn between using captures from the Messa Boogie Signature collection. I've got a 2C Plus on there that sounds really good, but I've also got a Mezza Barba that I bought from Studio Rats that sounds really good as well. The Mezza Barba, however, with a Tube Screamer, sounds amazing. I'm going to gig the setup over the weekend, and I'm going to see which one I think works best. If I use the Boogie, then I'm using my volume pot more to get the crunch sounds, and I've got 3 sounds there. If I use the Mezza Barba, I'm using an overdrive Mezza Barba sound, so it's not quite enough to give me the big full-on meaty lead sounds. So what I'll do with that is I'll give myself a clean, a crunch-ish, a light crunch, and a classic lead, so like 2 classic rock sounds. And then I'll bring in a Tube Screamer to give me a little bit more, so I've got a full-on distortion and I've got a go-for-it kind of lead. So that's my plan. Effects are going to come from TONEX and Chocolate. Chocolate's going to control the effects in here. I'm going to have 3 effects set up on this, and I'm going to have an effect clear button or an off on here as well. I'm going to add a 2-button switch to my TONEX, and that gives me a tap tempo for delays. So I'm going to use delays in here as my basics. I'm not going to use the reverbs. I'll get to why in a second. And this gives me a tap tempo and a tuner. So that's most of what I'm using. But then I'm also going to use this. Now, I've used this, I've had this a long time and I've used it a lot, but I've always used it in snapshot mode, and I've used this to just control everything and to be most of what I do. And if you go to rehearsal or something like that, well, I've been to about 2 rehearsals in years. You can take something like that and you're just good to go. But what I'm going to use it for, I'm not going to use snapshot mode, which is what I've always done. I don't think I need it. I'm just going to use this for sort of special effects and spacey reverbs that I need occasionally. And I'm not even going to use the effects loop on it. I'm going to put it at the end of the chain. Okay, so after a lot of messing about, and I mean a lot of messing about, I think I've got a layout that I like. Let me show you. I don't like Velcro to hold pedals on because eventually it comes off or goes wrong. I like cable ties. And I've bloody got none, have I? Trip to Screwfix. Right, so I thought I might as well use the bloody drive to Screwfix to try and explain to you the thought behind the pedal chain and the order of the pedals and what I'm doing. So, we are starting off wireless, obviously, and then we're going to go into the harmonizer. Harmonizer I don't like going into, but there's only 1 output on the wireless, so it's got to go into there. The other wireless I had, the old Line 6 one, had 2 outputs, but not on this one, so into the harmonizer and then into the guitar chain, really. So it goes straight into the wah-wah first, then from the wah I go into the Tube Screamer, and from the Tube Screamer I'm into the TONEX. From the TONEX I'm into the HX Stomp, and from the HX Stomp I'm straight into the mixing desk. I've got delays on my TONEX effects. I'm using chorus, I'm using a rotary, and I've got a flanger for just an occasional now and again. And they're all controlled via the chocolate. I've got no reverbs on the TONEX, none at all. Reverbs are actually going to come from one of 2 ways. I'm going to try a couple of different experiments. What tends to happen when you go from room to room is that you end up with some rooms that are more lively than others, and if you've got a really dead room, you probably need a little bit more reverb on your guitar and on everything else, really. If you're in a really lively room, the first thing you need to do is strip back all the reverbs, because it just sounds like a mess. And if you've got them baked into your presets and baked into your guitar sounds, then you're just making things a little bit more difficult for yourself, I think, because then, you know, if you've got 3 reverbs on 3 sounds, you have to then go back in and program 3 different things. So I'm thinking, okay, I'll put one little reverb, that's my basic reverb, onto my guitar, and I can do that with either either the HX Stomp, or I can do it directly in the mixing desk. Now, I've got one set up on the Stomp. I may or may not use it. I might just go for the one on the mixing desk, because you know, mixing desks nowadays are always good. Most of the time I'm mixing it myself anyway, and if I'm playing somewhere else where there's a house engineer, etc., it doesn't take much to explain to them, mate, put a little bit of reverb in there for me, will you? So I'm nearly at screw fix now to get those bloody cable ties. So we'll come back and we'll have a look at fitting it all onto the board and then see how it sounds. Okay, I'm back from screw fix. It's the next day. I had a gig to run to. Luckily it was an acoustic gig, so I didn't need any of this kit, but I'm back from screw fix. I've got my cable ties. If you're not from the UK, Screwfix is a hardware store, not a dating agency. That's an easy mistake to make. The other question is, how am I going to use cable ties to attach pedals to a board? Well, I'm going to just drill holes in it. Okay, finished board. Let's talk through it and just see what we've gotten. It's not quite exactly how we planned, but this is what's happened. So, into the wireless, and yes, there's lots of sawdust everywhere because I didn't sweep it up. Then into the wah-wah. From the wah-wah, I found my FreqOut pedal. So I'm using the FreqOut now. So we'll go to the FreqOut. Then from the FreqOut, we go all the way over to my little harmonizer for my vocals. Then from there, we go into the Tube Screamer, into the TONEX. From the TONEX, we then go stereo. So from stereo in the TONEX to stereo into the HX Stomp. Then from the HX Stomp, we go out to the mixing desk. Now, the output of the HX Stomp is a TRS XL, well, it's a TRS balanced line. And to take advantage of that, you need to have an XLR. So what I've done is I've made some tails there that go into XLR connections that just let me run that straight to the desk. Okay, so that's the basic setup. I've got my power supply there. You can see that the power supply for USB is running all the way down to the chocolate, and you can see the glamorous piece of very slick timber that I've clipped the thing to. Then here I've fastened down the transmitter for my in-ears wireless, and that's the receiver for it. Here is my microphone switcher. Basically what happens is I plug my microphone into here. The microphone's always plugged in and I just dump it on the board. I've got 2 outs. One out goes to the desk and then front of house, and the other out goes obviously to the desk, but then it just goes to the monitors, to the in-ear monitors of the lads in the band, so that I can talk to them and the audience can't hear. That is my little setup. Oh, and there's my little Y box. So I can plug my wireless into there, then off it goes to the signal chain, or I can plug a lead directly into there if that battery goes flat. Okay, so that's my system. That's how it works. Let's hear some sounds. And in a last minute change of plan, I've taken the Ampero Switcher that's running my tap tempos and I've plugged that into the HX Stomp, and I'm going to run my delays from the HX Stomp instead. I think the delays in the Stomp are a little bit better and certainly more flexible. There's more of them. The disadvantage is I can't adjust the delay level per preset unless I start switching and doing all sorts of other things, which I don't want to do. But it's good enough. It's good enough. Right, let's hear it. Before I do slick studio sounds, let's hear it in the wild. This is phone footage, but it gives you an impression of the power of this thing. In the end, I've gone for the Boogie for most of my sounds, and I'm going to use the Mezza Barba for the cleans. So, here it is. Right, gig time. We'll try it out in a room. This is Paddy. He's going to take the video. So, let's see what it sounds like. We'll start clean. This is a neck single coil, and it gets me that kind of thing, which is just clean. If I want it cleaner, I can back off my volume pot. Etc, etc. Now, if I go to a humbucker, got that. Going back to the single coil, I've got, don't forget there, got a tube screamer to that, just subtly. Then it adds just a little bit more hair. I don't want to go overboard on the tube screamer. My crunch sound is the Boogie. It's quite a lot of crunch. It does back off well. I went with the Boogie because it just sounded that little bit fatter live and at volume. The Mezza Barba is the clean sound. Boogies are the other two. So this is the Boogie crunch. I quite like that. And that's the same sound that you heard on the Through the Rig video a second ago. Then if I want a bit more, I can always add the tube screamer, and it just changes that mid shift in the bottom end a bit. And gives me that. A lot of gain there. Lead sounds. This is, again, the Boogie lead. Neck. Bridge. Then if I had the tube screamer, all hell breaks loose. Yeah. Right, back to the cleans. We'll look at the effects. This chorus from the TONEX is great. I love this. Actually, put the tube screamer on, you get... And it still sounds great. The next one is the rotary. Which is great, and I've got a phaser. Now the phaser really is for that last chord at the end of a song. You know, when you just sort of go... And you've got to make the face as well. But it's just for that, really. I'm not going to use it for much else. Then the more specially effecty sounds, I've got a couple of them. I've got a big delay that works great with the chorus. Have a listen to this. Now this is a cool one. This is a Shimmer, and it sounds like, I don't use this a lot, but it sounds like this. Humbucker. With the chorus, let's go mad. And let's put a big delay on us, all of it. And a tube screamer. So there's some pretty meaty sounds, there's some great sounds. The only downside I've noticed with it, and the whole rig is actually part of the switching. Let me show you for a second. This little light here on the chocolate is ridiculously bright, and in a darkened room you can't see these two buttons or that one because that thing's so bright. Which, when you've got to switch from here to here, can be a bit tricky. But sound-wise, I'm really digging this. So there you go, that's my little pedalboard journey. I hope you enjoyed coming along with me, and if you've made it this far, well, congratulations. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in another video.